Well, hello, here we go. So we're going to talk about inverse operations today. The EQ is how do you use your inverse operations to solve a linear equation. So when we take a look at it, we need to figure out what inverse operations means. So inverse operation means it's the operation completed to undo another operation. The example, addition does subtraction. So basically, if we also take a look at it of the opposite. So if I have a positive number, I'm going to take the negative number or opposite to get rid of it. So for example, let's look at A, solving for x. We have 2x minus 5 equals 15. What would be our first step? We would take a look and say, oh, that's a negative 5 or minus 5, and the opposite of that, or the inverse operation of that, is a positive 5. So we're going to move that to the other side. So we're left with 15 plus 5 on the right-hand side. And on the left-hand side, we have 2x. We have 2x equals 20. Am I done? No, we have one more step. So in order to get rid of the 2, we need to divide by 2 because it's multiplying 2x. So we have 20 divided by 2, which would be 10.
So some of you have noticed that we wrote plus 5 on both sides of the equal sign and divide by 2 on both sides. Some of you are very adamant that you want to just add 5 on the right-hand side. But remember, golden rule of algebra. I know you all learned it because I've been teaching middle school and teaching high school my entire career in this district. And you have to follow the golden rule. What you do to one side, you do to the other. If you don't do it to both sides, you're changing the problem. If we only add 5 on the right, you're not getting rid of the minus 5, so you have 2x minus 5 equals 20, which is a different problem. So let's look at the next one. I'm seeing 8 times x minus 5 equals 72. What am I going to do first?
How about we distribute the 8?
You could, but actually, I'm going to tell you right now that's going to actually add another step. I look at this as saying, well, 8 is being multiplied by x minus 5. So if I wanted to undo multiplying, I would divide by 8. And it just so happens 72 is divisible by 8. So the rule of thumb is this. If what you're going to do to one side is going to, and do to the other side is going to make it a whole lot messier, say it would have been 72 minus x, we don't want to do it because that's going to get really ugly really quick. But as long as it's clean like this, where you can get rid of these 8s, leaving us with x minus 5, and on the other side it ends up being 9, do it because it makes your life easier. So now I've got x minus 5, and I go, well, x is being subtracted by 5. To undo that, I need to add 5 to get myself out of the negative 5 hole. That cancels on the left, so I'm giving me x, and 9 plus 5 is 14. You should be, I know in Algebra 1 we made you write out all those checks. Here, I'm not going to make you write out the check, but you should be checking. That's the beauty of algebra and solving equations. You should know when you hand that quiz or test into me whether you have 100% or not, simply because you checked your work. Let's go ahead and take a look at C.
So C is 24 plus 7x equals minus 4x minus 9. Now we know what we need to do. We need to figure out what x is. So we either can do a couple different things. We can make sure we can take the negative 4x and we can add it to the left-hand side, or we can take the 7, positive 7, and move it to the right side. I don't like using negative numbers. So I'm going to take the negative 4x and I'm going to add it to the left side. So what we're left with there would be 24 plus 11x equals negative 9.
Now why is it negative 9?
Because we have the symbol in front of the 9 of subtraction, so that's going to stay with it.
Okay.
So now what we're going to do is we're going to take that 24. Now we know that's a positive 24 because there's not a negative sign in front of it, so the opposite of a positive is a negative. So we're going to subtract that 24 and move it to the right-hand side. So we've got a negative 9, or 11x equals a negative 9 minus 24, which would, in my mind, goes a negative 9 plus a negative 24, which then would be what? Well, we could do that our 10 trick, so it would be 34, and then adding 1, which would be 35, negative 35. 33. So then x, we're going to divide by 11, which means x would be equal to -3.
See, we're human, we make mistakes too, so forgive us. Going on to the next one. You might have wondered how we suddenly jumped from C to F. D and E, we're going to take care of those in class, so just hold tight with those. We'll be prepared to add those into our lesson, into our notes tomorrow. We got word problems. I know, most of you see word problems and you shut down. We've got to know how to do word problems because word problems are the most applicable part of Algebra 2. So we have a local phone company. They charge $12.95 a month for the first 200 minutes of airtime plus 7 cents for each additional minute. I know most of you don't talk on your phone anymore, but go with us here. So Nina's bill for the first month was $14.56. We want to know how many additional minutes she used. Here, I'm telling you, I want M to represent the number of additional minutes. To start off, I will tell you what I want it to represent. As we get further along into the unit towards the end when we want to test, you've got to be able to tell me what that variable represents, and we'll work on that later. So here we have M. It says $12.95 a month. That's how much we have to pay no matter what, how many minutes we use. And it says plus 7 cents for each additional minute. So that's 0.07 times each additional minute of M. And she paid $14.56. So the first thing I want to do is I'm going to go ahead and subtract that $12.95. And when I do that, I know, oh my gosh, got lots of ugly decimals. We're all going to die. But you know what? It's really not bad because we have a calculator. So I have 0.07 M on the left. And on the right, I have $1.61. And then I'm going to go ahead and divide both sides by 0.07. Because we have multiplying on the one side, giving us M. And $1.61 divided by 0.07 is 23. And so we can't leave it there because since it's a word problem, all word problems need labels. On a test, for every label you forget, it's half a point. Yes, half a point.
So it's 23 puppies then, right? We're talking about puppies? Or
No,
what are we talking
puppies. I wish we were talking about puppies. We're talking about additional minutes. So this is 23 minutes. Preferably, I would rather see you say 23 additional, I'm abbreviating additional minutes used. So it's a more complete, because the other thing that we will see is when you start identifying what your variable represents, you'll say M equals monkeys. Well, what about the monkeys? How much they poop, how much they eat, what color they are, how heavy they are? We have no idea. So make sure you're using as specific of labels as possible. So we're going to skip our lovely now G, which is the other word problem. We'll do that in class next time. And so we got some practice problems for you. We have 4 of them. Here are the first 2. Give you a second to get those copied down. And then we have our second 2. Make sure you get those copied down. And as always, get those ideas for those summaries because we're getting close to writing them on our own. And bring your questions with you to class tomorrow.